Shalom, people. It is Monday, February 3rd, 2025, and we back at it doing this ride share thing. Today, while we wait, I'm going to check out my social media reels and see what type of fuckery they sending me today. I noticed a slight change in it. I'm trying to get the algorithm back, but I keep getting a bunch of bullshit. Anyway, let's check them out, see what they got.
The covenant that the federal government has with the Roman Empire was established in 161 BC.
That fucks with this guy, the trumpet. But check it out. He got some shit. He always got some biblical information. And I take all biblical information from people other than Jews like me, the Israelites. I take their biblical information with a grain of salt, right? This is for educational purposes, entertainment purposes, because I don't know where he's going with this, but let's check it out.
And that's next on the trumpet. The Jewish government of the Maccabees begins right there, and then their treaty or covenant with the Romans begins right there in 161. Daniel said there would be 7 years of tribulation after the sacrifice was ceased, and that was the beginning of the Roman Empire. So the Apocrypha ends, and the daily sacrifices ceased right there in 168, and then 7 years later, 161, the covenant of the treaty with the Romans. So right over my head is where they ceased the daily sacrifice, and 7 years later, that's where they made those agreements right there. And then if you go right down here, you can see how the Roman Empire is just starting to build. This is Julius Caesar and all this stuff right here. The Roman Empire was just coming into existence, and this is Jesus Christ right here. So why would I say that the Jews or the Maccabees turned into the federal government derived their name from the federati? They were the non-Roman peoples or tribes who entered into formal alliances with the Roman Empire. First Maccabees chapter 8. And Judas heard of the fame of the Romans, that they were mighty and valiant men, and such as would lovingly accept all that joined themselves unto them, and make a league of enmity with all that came unto them. I didn't ask AI to put the skull of Goliath in there, but why not? Book of Daniel, chapter 9. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice of the oblation to cease. And they did that. Daily sacrifice ceased. 7 years later, the treaty with the Romans, the covenant. Of course, the church thought that you didn't need to have this in the Bible that you're reading right now. After they made the covenant with the Romans, Judas took the title King of the Jews. That whole Judas and the King of the Jews thing, being the first one called, that's right there. And then that sign right over his head right there, it says King of the Jews. All right, let's recap. The Maccabees form a government right here, and then they turn into the federati whenever they join the Romans. And then this Judas guy right here, he calls himself King of the Jews. But it's right here. This guy, he destroys the temple on Mount Gerizim. And during the covenant with Moses in the book of Deuteronomy, that was the mountain of blessing. And Mount Ebal, that was where he was directed to build an altar on the mountain of cursing. That guy and that mountain of blessing directed by Moses in the covenant of Deuteronomy. They were the Fed. That guy. You know what I saw in a building in downtown Daytona today? Little windows that look just like that. 6 of them. There. It's out of that hexagram. That's what drew me there. The star, it has 6 points. And inside of it, it has 6 triangles. And they go around a 6-sided shape called a hexagon. And that's the Freemason symbol in the middle of it. I guess the first time that they built a pyramid right outside of Jerusalem there, I guess everybody knew that they were Masons. The Maccabees were stonemasons, and they polished stone right there. They made 7 pyramids right outside of Jerusalem. And you can go to that place right there on Google Earth and see the ribbons of where they were. The pyramids of Jerusalem. Well, John, he destroyed the temple on the mountain of blessing. And then this guy right here, Judas, he was not the king of the Jews. Jesus was. You know that my family love you, so like and follow the trumpet for more. And in Jesus' name, I have a blessed day. The cup.
Okay, that was a bit much. I know the story of the Maccabees, and Judas Maccabees was killed, as were most of his brothers.
Turn right to stay on Hoover Avenue.
So I don't know who he's talking about there, but clearly he's done some type of research, right? Take that with a grain of salt. He's not an Israelite; he's an Edomite. And I believe, as a Jew, that the true understanding of biblical texts and narratives and stories and the dark sayings, that only the Israelites have a true grasp on what it really means. But I'm not going to take anything from him. Like I said, I follow this guy on social media. He's got a lot of good, entertaining information. He ties it in real nicely,
Turn right on Bay
the way he understands it. So, yeah, take it with a grain of salt. You already know.
In a quarter-mile, turn right on Broad Street using the right lane.
Let's see what else TikTok got for me.
It's the tendon that runs down the leg. That's the blood at the bottom of his leg. This is literally his kneecap. This is the fleshy area. It turns to stone. The fleshy part turns to stone. Blood and that with stuff doesn't. It stays inside, and it won't leak out.
Turn right on Broad Street.
Just like this one. This is as strange as it gets, and I am just as baffled as anybody. But look, I have any idea what that is. And this guy is saying, "What did you do to me?" Look at him, look at his face. And that's what they said, that they were amazed when this stuff happened to him. Right at the very first words, he says, I intend to speak of forms, change into new entities. If there are any friends here, turn your face away. And he held up the Gorgon's head. As he prepared to throw his deadly javelin, he was frozen like a marble statue. In the act, Epix next to him thrust his sword straight at the heart of the courageous descendant of Lycanius, and in thrusting, his right hand stiffened without movement this way or that. But Nilus, who falsely claimed that he was born of the Nile, with its 7 mouths, his shield engraved with its 7 streams, part gold, part silver, cried, Perseus, see the sources of my people. The last echo of his voice was cut off in flight, and you might believe his mouth still wished to speak, though it was no longer. Pervious to words, he turned to stone and said, Eric's rebuked them, saying, lack of courage, not the power of the Gorgon, freezes you. Rush in with me and knock this youth and his magic weapon to the ground. He had started his rush, but the floor held his feet fast, and there he stayed, unmoving stone, a fully armored statue. This is the key, a fully armored statue. Everything goes to stone. And now listen to this. Phineas is turned to stone. They all deserve the punishment they suffered, except one of...
Hold on. Hello, how are you? That's correct. Okay.
Perseus' warriors. While he was fighting on his side, Acontius saw the Gorgon's head and took the shape of hardened stone. Astyages struck him with his long sword, thinking he was still alive, and the blade gave a high-pitched, ringing noise. The same power transformed him, and he remained there with a wondering look on his marble face. 100 bodies survived the fight. 200 bodies were turned to stone. I can't imagine something and that would cause you to turn to stone. Somehow that thing is, something was coming out of it. Now, the
once these guys that were next to the statue said they could
You not in the
feel
house?
some kind of presence. They could feel some kind of energy. That was a living creature. I looked at it very carefully. Display, all this different discoloration that came over.
Ma'am, I'm gonna jump on the parkway if that's okay.
Face of the face different than the rest. He's trying on dragging here. And these people consider that the more educated they are, the less likely it is that they can consume of this being reality, maybe even though reality is smashed into their faces. It's the kid that runs down the road. Wow! This is over here, and all of you there, going to the 25th Street, where is Mayor Adams? Where are all the black politicians that you see in Congress, in the state, in the Senate? Huh? We don't need to see them. We don't need to see them because blacks and Hispanics, your representation is right here, right now. If it takes captains and generals, officers and troopers of the Israelites, we love to do it. We're at your service. This is right here in the Harlem River, going to the 25th Street. Where is Mayor Adams?
We have some news right now. The Trump administration has completely shut down the USAID website, which is the agency responsible for humanitarian assistance around the world. No. USAID is not just a humanitarian aid organization. It is a front in order to run covert intelligence ops around the world to do coups and regime change operations and all kinds of other criminal activities. In the mid-2000s, USAID was exposed for building a, quote, fake human Twitter designed to lure in young users and slowly feed them anti-government content to spark protests. USAID was also involved in the 2014 coup in Ukraine, which some argue has led to the war in Russia. And this stuff goes back decades and decades and decades. In 1973, USAID helped pump in millions of dollars to overthrow a democratically elected leader, Salvador Allende, to install a dictatorship that would be more friendly to U.S. interests. The organization is also involved in other sketchy activities like this, Pastorine, and also this very interesting rabbit hole if you want to go down it. All the while, USAID was actively pressuring media organizations around the world to censor certain narratives. My point is, I'm sure there are some people on the ground doing good work at USAID. I'm sure there's good people doing good work. But at its core, it is a criminal organization. There's not people who benefit from knowing this text.
Okay, today is the night. This is definitely our night. Alright, let's hit something insane. That's insane.
The number of their
That's insane.
it's a great jackpot on type shit. That was 400,000 and several other bonus games.
Black people are fucking pissed. This man just got into the White House and he has the audacity single-handedly taking down the vultures that are leeching off our backs. We have a public health system that does not deliver in times of disaster, yet more money is spent on it than any country anywhere in the world. All of this will change starting today. When you understand that black people are disproportionately sicker than anyone else in America, you understand why the media tried canceling Ye and made him look crazy. When I asked them, how much lithium did you want to put me on exactly? It took them 4 days to answer because they were embarrassed about the amount, right? And I refused to take this, right? You understand that if I had taken the medication, I would not be here and it would have been, he was deeply troubled. We miss him. We love his music, though. Well, they would have Britney Spears, too. I mean, look, they would have Michael Jackson. This is the same way they take down videos of these naturopathic doctors that are trying to promote natural ways of eating. Just like this video I found of Dr. Herb talking about oil of oregano. Chronic sinus problem year-round is a mold fungus problem that lives up and through here. Even upper respiratory problems can be affected by the mold or the fungus. And oil of oregano is the absolute best remedy for that. Extremely good for the respiratory system. It's the best. It's the king of all respiratory herbs. You cannot compare it to it. Doesn't matter. It cannot compare to the wild oregano oil. It's a hammer. Really? And so I sat here and thought to myself, if this could really help millions of people, how they're not pushing it out to everyone. Well, then just take a look at how much this industry is worth. And that's the same reason why whenever a celebrity like Terrence Howard comes out and talks about it, the mainstream media call him psycho. Does he look psycho to you? Like using right now instead of using antibiotics. And if you felt an effect, yes. I used to have really thick dark circles under my eyes. That's gone away in the last 6 months. I've been using them. My skin, I'm 55 years old. Do I look like I'm 55? You don't look great. The only downside to oil of oregano is whenever people get it, they forget it has to have honey. That's the active compound that makes oil of oregano as strong as it is. That's exactly why I take mine from this brand. It has high cholesterol and black seed oil. It also has over 150,000 sold on TikTok and a bunch of 5-star reviews because this shit really knocks whatever you're coming down. The only downside is it's been going extremely viral on TikTok right now because people are starting to find out how strong oil of oregano is. This means they're running low on stock. So if you can still see a orange card button somewhere over here, you can still get some. Make sure you act quick.
Joining us, it was just reported that famous celebrity cartoon actor Speedy Gonzalez was arrested early this morning by U.S. immigration officers. And Gonzalez was seen trying to elude the ICE officers' trap by running extremely fast while yelling in broken English. Also arrested, Speedy was his cousin Slowpoke Rodriguez, better known as the slowest mouse in all Mexico.
Senor Slowpoke, you will be good with the chili peppers.
That's terrible.
That's what I wanted to do. Slowpoke Rodriguez.
With both mice expected to remain in ICE custody pending their removal proceedings. Joining us, it was just reported.
But I'm gonna ask TradeGPT to.
Get it.
Shall I try to get it done? I hold my head in pieces. With the sun can I be close to you? Can I be close to you?
Trying to call us out, YouTubers and podcasts and stuff, trying to call us out, talking about we don't know what we talking about. We shouldn't be in the room with all type of stuff. Not only that, all of them are now turning their attacks towards the new White House press secretary. Now they want to attack her and slander her name, all because they do not like Donald Trump. That right there is just crazy. There's a reason why they keep getting illegal notice. There's a reason why they keep getting sued. They're like this right here is just ridiculous. So like I said, that further, we're gonna go ahead and dive straight into this. Don't worry, I'm not gonna let them just slip and tell all these lies. We're gonna correct all these lies. So like I said, shout out to the one that always watches their entire video, even though it be hard listening to the view, but don't worry about it. I'm gonna make it worth your time. more people can see the video. Like I said, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. That way you can stay up to date with everything that's going on. And without further ado, y'all, let's go.
Yesterday, the new White House Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt gave her very first press conference where she announced that they're adding extra seats to the briefing room. Take a look.
It's essential to our team that we share President Trump's message everywhere and adapt this White House to the new media landscape in 2025. This White House believes strongly in the First Amendment, so it's why our team will work diligently to restore the press passes of the 440 journalists whose passes were wrongly revoked by the previous administration. We're also opening up this briefing room to new media voices who produce news-related content, and this outlet is not already represented by one of the seats in this room. We welcome independent journalists, podcasters, social media influencers, and content creators to apply for credentials to cover this White House. This seat in the front of the room, which is usually occupied by the press secretary's staff, will be called the new media seat. My team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House complex.
All right. What she said?
What she said.
Podcast needs to apply for White House credentials.
I have a question.
Instead of Bob Woodward, they want Kim Kardashian? What? I don't get it. Okay, I have a question, which is why I was leading us in this direction. I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that pissed me off. And that was, she said there will be no wokeness here. Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job. Yeah. Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason. Because Black people couldn't get into colleges. Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women. See, this is not Black, Asian women.
I know the funny thing about women, she think because she be screaming, she think because she do all these little hand motions that she's saying something. Caroline, she just calling out, which we are back with another video. And man,
Dear voiceovers, this is the best flat earth proof, and why no one can drill through Antarctica. The ice wall is alive, and it's hiding something. NASA says satellites orbit in space, but why do 8,000-pound balloon rigs float at the edge of our dome instead? Why does Antarctica's ice wall heal itself when drilled, like a cosmic scab? And why do rockets launch only to hit a liquid sky that ripples like water? They claim we've mapped space, but 85% of our oceans are unexplored. Priorities, right? Earth isn't a lonely rock. It's a sealed flat plain. Satellites, balloons tethered to the dome, Antarctica's ice, a living barrier guarding the edge, that blue sky, water above the firmament, mirroring the 60% water in your body. They fake space because the truth, we're enclosed, would collapse their trillion-dollar CGI industry. Google high-altitude NASA balloons, they're right there, dangling tech over Earth, not space. Teams tried drilling Antarctica's ice for decades, only to hit sky ice that regenerates.
This one here?
They don't escape. They splash against the dome.
You want me to wait for you or no?
No, that's fine.
You sure?
Undersea cables.
Okay.
Proof we don't need satellites when the real grid is under our feet.
This one here, right?
If you're done swallowing orbit fairy tales,
You're welcome, ma'am. Have a good night.
This is for entertainment purposes. This is the best flat Earth proof, and why no one can drill through.
Yeah, I can see I get a lot of flat Earth stuff, right? And I'm gonna just keep scrolling. I want to go back to that this guy.
Dear Joe, we are back.
Let's see. Nah, I don't feel like checking for it.
Possible. Well, dear voiceovers sound on. This is the best.
I don't want a female president, period. Look what feminism has done to this country. Why would I want a female president? Why not? Look at what feminism has done to our families. You just talking about men no longer in the family because women are strong and manly, feel like they don't need a man no more. How? When they the Joe Biden not apologize for the 94 crime bill. He never did. How much you want to pay? In fact, he said, I'm not going to apologize. Yes, he did. Right. Okay, super predator.
All right.
Let's keep going.
Yeah.
I'm voting for Trump and RFK.
Women can't run the country.
No, they can't. Women can barely run their house. Yeah. I don't care. It's the honest to God truth. I've raised 5 children. If it takes a man and a woman to make a baby, right? Women don't get pregnant on their own.
Okay.
Then obviously something should tell us that it should take a man and a woman
To
to
raise.
balance that child out, to raise that child.
Now, this is an old video. I seen this some time ago, right? And I agree. And luckily, right, black and brown people, we're waking the fuck up and taking back our manhood, our womanhood, our families, our communities. It's going to be a long, strong struggle, but we're doing it. And a lot of that awakening has to do with, I'm going to say, the Israelites, right? Those black and brown men that are on the highways, byways, walkways, waterways, alleyways. They in the street, right? Waking up our people. That awakening has done something. Now, I'm not going to give them 100% credit. I'm going to give them the credit that they deserve, because there are other people out here. But yeah, we we taking back what's ours, and that works. But I'm gonna let it rock.
And that child needs half, 50-50, right?
Sure.
So we've messed up somewhere along the line. And are we blaming men for leaving?
Well, listen,
I mean, if
some reason there
hold
are.
on, but if I'm a woman, I'm liberated by freedom of choice, right? If I don't want the baby, I get to kill the baby, right? And I get praised for it. But if a man don't want the baby and he walk away, and all of a sudden he a dead,
Ain't nobody praising
all of a sudden, wait a minute, hold on. No, they are. No, they are. They're advocating for, they shouting out their abortion. Look up Oprah Winfrey, shout out your abortion. And they paying for it. But if a man doesn't want the baby, then he a deadbeater. You get to go lock him up, put him in jail, drag him every month with a child abandonment warrant. The government makes a man be responsible for the life that he creates. What about her? She shouldn't be responsible. If she gets a child, she gets to go kill the baby if she don't want the baby. Or you don't want to talk about that. What about the father that wants the baby? Right? But if she decides she gonna kill the baby just to be spiteful and hurt the father.
Right.
But we're talking about equality. Killing the baby is killing the baby. You can't pick and choose when it's okay to kill a baby.
Oh, it's no different than picking and choosing murder to kill somebody. You gotta kill you.
This guy's a simp.
Who the baby trying to kill?
You can pick and choose a lot of stuff.
Who the baby trying to kill?
Woman has a right.
That woman shouldn't have a right.
And if a guy
A black woman shouldn't even want a right to execute her own black baby. First of all, let's go there, because how you gonna blame white supremacy? But 99% of abortions are not rape.
I know, but the ones that are.
Okay, so you're using 1% to justify killing 99%. Only 1% of abortions are from rape. Only one still. And you can listen. We hear about abortion all the time. We'll never hear about the rapist. If you can kill the baby, why you can't kill the rapist?
I ain't got a problem with that.
Eliminate the rapist.
I ain't got a problem.
Why
So
are
you
we
okay
thinking
with
all
killing
these
certain
times?
people? Not certain people.
Hey, you okay with killing innocent babies that they did nothing? So why we can't kill the person responsible for it? What you're saying is that child is not deserving of life because of the parents' circumstances. And what I'm saying is everybody that I know was born into a bad circumstance, and over 80% of us are successful.
That's right.
Poverty is not an excuse to terminate black life.
That's right.
Close your legs, swallow, jack.
She said swallow. Wait. She said swallow. Shut up, bitch. Swallow.
Control exists. Like pregnancy can be prevented. There's a reason why they promote promiscuity, right? And they promote abortions the way that they do, because nobody is walking out of the abortion clinic with the baby's remains. Like when we want to get real down and nasty, what's really going on, right? Like we talking about organ harvesting. What are they doing with all of those aborted babies when the woman gets up off of the table and leaves out of the clinic? I don't know one woman that's left out of the abortion clinic where her baby's remains. If you go to the hospital and you have a miscarriage, right? Until you call the funeral home or whatever, they give you the baby's remains, you go and you have a funeral. What they know with all of them aborted babies? Why are we putting so much money into abortion when we could be putting that money into pregnancy prevention? kill the baby when she don't want it. A man should have a choice to abandon the baby when he don't want it. Please, equality. That's what they fighting for.
Well,
I don't want a female president.
All right. I don't know what y'all think about that. But I'm with all that. I'm with all that smoke. I agree that no, you have a child, like you get pregnant, have a child. Father, be there for your child and be there for its mother too. You lay with that woman, right? I understand that not all relationships work, but this is why you got to prove people. You got to make sure that you know who you laying with before you procreate with them, because you could be laying with a demon, and I mean that works. You could be laying with a fucking demon, and you don't want no demon to have your child, and you don't want your child fathered by a demon. So it works both ways with before you lay with them. And for Christ's sake, stop having sex outside of marriage. Get married. Marriage is honorable in all things. Now I don't know the book, chapter, and verse, but that's biblical. It's time that like for us, right? Because I don't know no other nation of people that ain't marrying and having children. I think it's only us that don't honor marriage. We don't honor family. We don't believe in none of that shit. We think that it's cool to be alone, and have children and raise them on our own and unbalanced. And I know that shit ain't no good. So I agree with this. I don't know what y'all think, but holla back.
Bust some myths about autistic kids.
Okay.
Number one is that they don't feel empathy and emotion, and that is boop, boop, so wrong. Autistic kids feel really deep empathy and emotion, but sometimes they express it differently than neurotypical people. So it can be a learning curve for educators, parents, everybody else to learn how they're expressing their emotions. Also, sometimes when autistic kids get overwhelmed, they might shut down because it's too much in the moment to experience and process that feeling, but it's there and it might just be expressed differently later on. Bust some myths about autistic kids. Number one.
Pick up Clover on the left.
Fine, since nobody else is saying it, and I'm the only one that freaking says it, and nobody else wants to acknowledge it because they're absolutely terrified of these people. But I'm not terrified of these people because I'm not made out of freaking 40% bitch. The Democratic Party and their platform, it is most geared towards narcissists. It is most geared towards people with heavy narcissistic traits. Don't you think it's a little bit weird how they keep accusing people of doing what they're doing to people? Hey, I hope you get what you voted for. You voted against your own best interest. Kamala lost because of sexism and misogyny.
Hello, how are you?
You guys are all uneducated. I hope you get what you voted for. We're going to start a 4B movement and swear off men. Ladies, divorce your husbands and get ready to poison them. Guys, we haven't been arguing left versus right.
350 South Harrison?
Yes. Empaths versus narcissists. That doesn't mean that every single Democrat has NPD. No, but narcissistic traits, we all have them in varying degrees. Begin in childhood through a combination of factors like overindulgence, excessive praise for superficial qualities. I really want you to pay attention to Kamala's voter demographics. I really want you to pay attention to Kamala's voter demographics. I don't think I need to say it a third time for you to understand that that's the gigantic context clue that you need to be looking at to understand why we have a narcissist problem in this country. A lack of emotional validation or experiencing trauma, which can lead a child to develop an inflated sense of self-importance and a need for constant admiration to feel valued. Again, look at Kamala's demographics. Look at her demographics. You tell me, which one of these demographics are given to overindulgence at an early age and being excessively praised for superficial qualities?
Now, when it comes to her black vote, no, that wasn't just narcissism, even though the black men were coerced. Let's be real about it. Black men, you know that if you voted any other way, your home life would have exploded. You were facing narcissism in your home life. There you go. I just gave you the answers to the test. You're going to reject it. Of course you're going to reject it because, well, me being right means a lot of horrible things in your personal life. And that's just too scary for you to cope with right now. And that's perfectly fine. Reject it if you will, but I'm just trying to put power into your hands. I'm trying to give you more knowledge and control over what's been going on in your life. If you don't want to take it, I'm more than happy to take advantage of this knowledge and let you run around blind. I'll just consume you like the rest of them. Okay, fine. I couldn't leave well enough alone. You guys ever listen to somebody with NPD or psychopathy talk about children? They always refer to children as like property or pets. Which side of the aisle treats children like property or pets? Fine, since nobody else is saying it, and I'm the only one that freaking says it, and no.
Now that you go, every day I go on, but life's just not
Which means, so most business owners are now. Did y'all hear about the 6-year-old that killed a cop in Michigan? Don't worry about it. 38-year-old Denise Williams and her 6-year-old daughter Aaliyah went to Walmart to buy a TV. As they're leaving, the receipt flies out of Denise's bag. She doesn't realize it until she gets to the door. Trevor, the Walmart employee, stopped her, asked for proof of purchase. She realized it was missing. She flags down the cashier that had just processed the transaction. Cashier confirms it, but he is insisting that she could not leave without a receipt. She's frustrated and determined not to cause a scene. Denise proceeded to her car and waved down a man in the parking lot to ask for help to load the TV into her car. As they're doing that, Officer Lindsay Carter pulls up. She has a reputation of being overly zealous. She exited the vehicle with her hand already resting on the holster gun. Trevor called the police, claiming that she had stolen the TV and assaulted him on her way out. Officer Carter immediately confronted Denise, accusing her of theft behind her back. Denise, caught off guard, tried to explain that she had already paid for the TV and confirmed it with the cashier, but Carter's tone grew increasingly aggressive. When Denise hesitated to comply with being handcuffed, pleading that she'd done nothing wrong, Officer Carter grabbed Denise by the arm, struck her in the ribs, and forced her to the ground, placing her in a chokehold as Denise gasped for air. Aaliyah, still seated in the SUV, watched in horror as her mother struggled. Panicking, she remembered the firearm her mother kept in the glove compartment for protection, a weapon Denise had taught her to handle safely. Acting out of fear and desperation, Aaliyah retrieved the gun, stepped out of the SUV, pointed it at Officer Carter, screaming for her to stop. When Carter turned toward Aaliyah and appeared to reach for her own weapon, Aaliyah fired a single precise shot, striking the officer in the eye.
Damn.
Carter collapsed to the ground, dead. Aaliyah immediately dropped the gun and rushed to her mother's side, sobbing and begging for her to wake up. As Denise is regaining consciousness, more officers are arriving on the scene. They are both taken into custody, but after thorough investigation, they were cleared of any wrongdoing. They also watched the footage of her buying the TV. And Aaliyah is basically deemed a hero and justifiable as she acted in defense of her mother's life. Trevor, maybe you work at Walmart. Even if she did steal it, that's not coming out your check. Now a family has trauma, a woman is dead, and you lied to the police.
Damn.
These are the top two.
Yeah, so here's how I get up to $250.
And now, the rest of the story. Hey, diddle, diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed to see such sport, and the dish ran away with the spoon. Well, now that rhyme is not nearly so nonsensical as you think. But that, well, that is the rest of the story. Elizabeth Foster was born in 1665 in England, and she didn't dare repeat that verse out loud until she got to this side of the Atlantic, because her verse was poking some pretty pointed fun at Queen Elizabeth and her court. You see, in those days, every queen was called a cat. Elizabeth did play the fiddle. The little dog was her lover, the Earl of Leicester. And the spoon referred to Lady Catherine Grey, a lady in waiting who tasted every dish before it was served to Her Majesty. The dish, well, that was the Earl of Hertford, custodian of the Queen's tableware. And it was he who eloped with Lady Catherine. And you thought this was kid stuff? Elizabeth Foster came to the United States with her little paw and married a widower in Boston named Isaac Goose, who had 10 children. Elizabeth became Mother Goose, that's right, to 10 children. And for the amusement of her 10 stepchildren, Mrs. Goose recited other little verses, which she had brought from England or written en route. The one about Mary, Mary, quite contrary, that referred to Mary, Queen of Scots. King George was Georgie Porgy, who kissed the girls and made them
This
cry.
one? That one.
The six seized farms for sheep
This one.
pastures was lampooned in her verse, blah, blah, blah.
You're welcome, man.
Eventually, the second Mrs. Goose had another 10 children. Now there were 20. Her little verses.
Okay, man. Have a good night.
I appreciate you for the driveway.
Yes, ma'am.
Necessary bedtime ditties with which to put her enormous brood to sleep, and it was about this time that she wrote of the old woman who lived in a shoe, who had so many children, she didn't know what to do. And yet the rhymes, which are now so familiar, might never have been heard outside the nursery, except that one day, while Mrs. Goose was still cooing verses to the most recent offspring, some of the earlier ones were ripening for marriage, and there appeared upon the scene one Thomas Fleet from Shropshire, England, and he wooed and won one of the Goose daughters. But he, a staunch Tory, did not like the way Mrs. Goose poked fun at the crown, and eventually his antagonism mounted to a fury, and he sought in callous ire to brand her. Fleet was a printer. So in 1719, he copied down those verses and he published them in a pamphlet referring to the author as Old Mother Goose. In this way, he sought to alienate all of the Back Bay from his stepmother-in-law. This young Fleet was certain would silence her impertinence forever. But to Fleet's dismay, the pamphlet was praised. Everybody wanted a copy. Instead of demanding the author's scalp, they demanded a second printing. And Mother Goose will have an audience for as long as there are children. Though it was certainly not for children that she wrote needles and pins. When a man marries, his troubles begin. That reference was to Henry VIII and his fifth wife, Catherine Howard, who introduced pins from France before she lost her head. Soon husbands had to provide their wives with special allowances for this luxury, and that's when the phrase pin money was injected into our language. Oh, yes, these lines, each concealing some sharp barb, these verses designed to unstuff the pompous politicians and expose the royal scandals became nursery rhymes. They became nursery rhymes because a printer named Thomas Fleet deliberately tried to discredit his stepmother-in-law and immortalized her instead. And now you know the rest of the story. And now...
Wow. Hey, diddle, huh? Goes to show that not everything we think we know is what we know. Like, there, the stories that we grew up on, right? What's the Giant? Jack and the Beanstalk. It's really Jack the Giant Killer. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Sleeping Beauty. These are all horrible stories. You just got to look into them. But I digress. Let's keep going.
Totalitarian microphone reset of the late 1800s. Global excavations take place of the aftermath. Mainstream media want us to believe these buildings were built in the middle of nowhere. But as we gain knowledge from our hidden past, we realize the time before us was highly advanced. These are all Tartarian structures. These pictures were taken place after the mudflood and organized by failed attempt to wipe out our past. Tartarian mudflood reset of the late 1800s. Excavations take place of the aftermath. Mainstream media want us to believe these buildings were built in the middle of nowhere. But as we gain knowledge from our hidden past, we realize the time before us was highly advanced. These are all Tartarian structures. These images were taken place after the mud flood and organized by failed attempt to wipe out our past. Highly advanced technology where buildings produce free energy from the atmosphere. Tartarian mudflood
One more day then. One more day. Hispanic people, since y'all in here, I'm gonna let y'all know. Black people is y'all's friends. If they come after y'all, they got to come after us. And I can say that because we know if they start coming after y'all, we next anyway. People, we will open up that underground railroad so quick. We got the blueprints. Black people, we got enough problems in America. We don't need no more problems. We know once they start coming for Hispanics, it's gonna be a bunch of light-skinned niggas stuck at the border.
Hey yo, I don't know what to say about this shit here, YouTube. This is just for commentary, right? Just so you can see that Cat was on it. So don't take it down, right? It's for entertainment purposes only. And the fact that I gotta keep saying that, because you biased, anti-Semitic motherfuckers at YouTube think you know something, think you have some power. You don't. You're anti-Semitic and you're biased. And we're not having it anymore. Anyway, we're gonna let Cat Williams rock. All right, it's for entertainment purposes only, under fair use doctrine. You heard?
I'm not supposed to be here. I don't even speak Spanish. Trump in office, we don't know what the fuck may happen next. We thought it was gonna be a war right away. We was like, we can't figure out who's gonna catch it first. Is it gonna be Russia? Is it gonna be China, Syria, Iran, Iraq, North Korea? Who the fuck is finna get? Find out. Public enemy number one is Kathy Griffin. Kathy Griffin. Ain't that a bitch? Fuck out of here. Fucking you. What the fuck? You the president now. You can't take a joke, motherfucker. You announced your presidency on Comedy Central, motherfucker, after a roast. Fucked up. I tried to tell people on the last tour, it was called conspiracy theory. I tried to tell people what the fuck was going to happen, and it done fucked around and happened. We said Trump had a chance because he was exciting, and America loves excitement. And Trump been saying exciting shit the whole time. He say shit you ain't never heard nobody say ever. Trump said, we are gonna build a wall, and we gonna make Mexico pay for it. Black people all over the world went, Mexico? What type of Mexicans does he know? He does not know no essays or no vatos. They just make them niggas do shit. But why the fuck is we talking about building a motherfucking wall and the Mexican people have shown us they are professional at building a tunnel on your motherfucking ass. They broke El Chapo out while they was looking at it.
They showed that tunnel was as big as this goddamn stage. Had hardwood floors, linoleum, Berber carpeted, central air conditioning, vending machines. They picked them up in a little golf cart and took it to a bungalow. I couldn't figure out why the fuck Trump was talking about immigration in the first motherfucking place. His motherfucking bitch ain't from here. She from somewhere else. She from Kansas. White people don't look like that. Y'all need to go check on that white woman. Every time you look at her, she looks like a hostage in the interview.
Hey, yo, Cass, stupid.
I'm not supposed to be here. This is not what I signed up for. I said right then, I said, okay, Trump ain't gonna say no more shit that throw me off guard. Then Trump said the shit that shocked the world. You was watching the news, had your breakfast blunt, it scared you and your breakfast blunt. Trump said, one more day then. One more day.
Anybody who wants to know about Antarctica, consider a couple of facts. That treaty, there's not one nation in the world that says, no, we want to explore Antarctica. Biggest military expedition in history was funded, and Admiral Byrd was the top man, but then he ends up getting a radio signal.
Okay. Now, I'm an old head, and we've been following the whole Admiral Byrd Antarctic Treaty exploration thing for years. Y'all just getting on it, right? But this is worth listening to simply because there's an entire area that no one is allowed to go just because the nation said so. So we really do need to figure it out, what's going on in Antarctica. Because we just need to find out. Let's listen.
But it's not from the command center. It is from an unidentified being. So ends up seeing two UFOs that are not using any understood means of propulsion.
That's a good point. The nations of the world hardly agree on anything. There's one thing they agree on. You can't go to Antarctica. Strange. Oh, I can't say what is and what isn't there. Because, I've never been to Antarctica.
That's right.
But one thing I definitely know is something is being hidden there.
Mm-hmm.
Something they don't want the public to see.
Anybody who wants to know about Antarctica,
Right here, you can make your own wind turbine. You can also build a hydroelectric generator. It costs $58. Takes 3 hours. Goes through all the materials, tools needed.
Oh yeah, this is this book. This is that book. I don't know the name of it. They're gonna talk about it, but everybody should have this book.
You can also make your own solar panel system. You don't want this though. Every household's got creepy. You can order your shop a car here, so you can get yours today. Right here, you can make your own wind turbine. Okay, so are you sure that you're ready for this Simon Cowell story? Because I know a lot of people claim that they're ready, but then they get told and they refuse to believe or listen. Okay, then let's get straight into it. Here's Simon Cowell. Here's Simon Cowell's dad, Eric. Now,
Eric.
Simon also has a son called Eric.
Eric. You hear this guy?
Now, keep up with me here. Granddad Eric was born to a man named Joseph Cowell and a woman named Esther Malinsky, who was from a Polish Jewish family who emigrated to the UK in 1950. Now, Eric, who was born in 1918, which says right here, qualified as a surveyor, but soon joined the Middlesex Regiment in World War II and was posted to Calcutta, India. Now, when he returned from India, he started a business, and it was a developed property management business, and one of his clients was EMI, the music publishing and record company, where Simon just so happened to get his very first job. Now, the business with EMI
maybe opened up a door or two for Simon Cowell. However, the Cowell family had other entertainment industry connections, with Jerry Blattner, head of Warner Brothers Studios in the UK, who lived next door to them in Elstree, England. He also held movie star parties, which often extended into the Cowell home, when Simon Cowell was just a young boy. Now, down here it says, according to the Daily Mail, Simon's younger brother Nick recalled, "We had the likes of Gregory Peck, Richard Burton and Liz Taylor in our house. As children, Simon and I didn't really understand who they were, but we loved the events." Simon once said the highlight of his childhood was to sit on the lap of US actress Bette Davis. So the coincidences started when Simon Cowell first got his job for EMI, but he didn't just stop there. Eric Cowell died aged 81 on the eve of Simon's biggest break, when band Westlife hit the top of the charts with its first #1 song on the eve. Now, why is this important? Let me say this first. This is important because if you know anything to do with their world, the celebrity world, there is always an offering for another person's fame. However, this didn't stop Simon from joining every single society that he knows of or can think of. I mean, here for example, what kind of speedboat is Simon Cowell using? What is the logo on the front? What is this logo right here? A lot of people will know what that logo is. This is the logo of the Freemasons. And as everybody saw yesterday, here's Simon Cowell with Hugh Jackman, Boy George and others at a Marina Abramovich event. And here is Lady Gaga and Marina Abramovich with a smaller image of Lady Gaga at the exact same event as Hugh Jackman and Simon Cowell and others, proving that they were all at the same event together. Now here, we've got Simon just showcasing his symbology to everybody. And here, and also down here too. And right here as well. Simon loves these symbols, because I mean, if he didn't, why is he so involved with showing a lot of symbols? Now this is where things take a slight turn for the worse for Simon Cowell. You see this guy over here? This guy's called Jonathan King. Now, Jonathan King was arrested for all different kinds of abuse on children. And Simon Cowell gave this man £50,000 bail money. And then we've got this guy, Maxwell Frank Clifford. Now, let's have a little read about Max, should we? In December 2012, as part of Operation UT, Clifford was arrested on suspicion of these offences. He was sentenced to 8 years in prison in May 2014. Now, who's Max Clifford? And how's he relevant to Simon Cowell? If you've been following me for a while, you may remember this video down here, where this guy explains how Max Clifford and Simon Cowell are very relatable to each other. Have a little listen to this.
You should be here, you know? And I'm just like, what is this? Was this like, hang on, was this like the whole of Streetfellas? Was this like, I love it. You followed him to the side. I went left, then my friend had all gone just straight to the normal road. And you went, and he went left, so I just followed him. And but then the whole conversation he had made sense to me. It's like he was asking, how did I get paid for this? This is not for, you know, he was thinking, oh, brains must like, these guys must be really like hooked up with people. Yeah. And so I was really freaked out about it. And I kind of like left, and then I just remember seeing certain people that not only that I kind of knew that they were parts, you know, like they were like big agents and stuff like that. But you didn't see any sort of celebrities. Not celebrities, but I saw people who I'd come to see.
What's going on, man? How you?
Like when there was a TV show about a big artist career or whatever, and you see this guy, this guy is one of the biggest managers of music, or this guy is actually, you know, someone like Max Clifford, and I was like, oh, I've never seen Max Clifford there, you know, like, and it turned out it was Max Clifford and Simon Cowell's regular due. So Simon Cowell it was their thing. So they said, I never saw Simon Cowell, but it was his thing. It was Simon Cowell and Max Clifford's due. It was.
And Those crazy wild parties do not stop there for Simon Cowell either. There's Simon with the guy who was throwing all of those parties as well. So not only did Mr. Cowell start his work career with EMI, but he also made a company called Psycho. And him and Sony went into business together. Him and Doug Morris specifically. And if you remember this video, you'll remember that Edgar Bronfman Jr. and Doug Morris were very, very close associates and personal friends. Now, obviously, I've had to pick and choose my words very, very carefully in this video. But that is the story of Simon Cowell and how he's got to where he is today. Oh, and I just want to thank everybody as well for helping get me out of the sin bin from yesterday, to help get the algorithm boosted again and help get me from being shadow banned. So thank you to everybody that helped and participated. Oh, and if you don't follow me yet, you flipping well should do. Come onto my page as well and tap my notification bell at the top and click all so you don't miss none of my future upload. Okay, so are you sure? I haven't filed your back taxes in a...
If you're trying to have your hair swinging all the way.
Let me tell you a true story. Me someone watch this video today. Could this be a giant? This video is for entertainment purposes only. Hey, you're gonna go beyond this clip. I was like, there's somebody out there with a face. Stop shooting in the water. Come on. See? The nose, the mouth, the eyes. He went beyond this point. He's not a danger. He's in the water.
I knew it.
Water. Did you see that? Looks like a face to me. Stop playing with me, son. This video is for entertainment purposes only. I don't know what that guy's talking about. He's exaggerating. That just happened to be a rock that was shaped as a face. Shut up! What if he's keeping his head above water so I can break me up? Stop playing with me, son. It's gotta keep on you guys not just getting around because that's impossible. It's just a game. The game's on the W did not see that a long time ago. Remember that video I showed you? With the big giant foot right by the water. Stop playing with me, son. It's gotta keep on you guys to get the what's next. I'm pretty sure if they exist, meanwhile they don't exist, but they will come out at night when nobody's around. Because let's not forget, that ocean is big enough to carry you. Stop playing with me, son. It's gotta keep on you guys and you better stay out that water. I don't care if you're on the boat. I don't care if you're on the canoe. I don't care if you're on the canoe. Get out of the ocean. Stop playing with me, son. It's gotta keep on you guys and I told you already. I'm not gonna tell you again. But I see one thing. If I'm out and I see a rock, a big rock, shaped out of face, I'm not gonna go there. I'm out.
So the endocannabinoid system is vast. Discovered by the Israeli scientist Raphael Mahalon in 1992, he also identified that this vast receptor system functions as micro-regulatory systems. Unfortunately, in the United States, cannabis was made a Schedule I drug in 1970 under the Controlled Substances Act. And as a result, all research related to cannabinoids in the United States died with that. So today, the unfortunate reality is, although these receptors function as micro-regulatory systems that can bring the human's body back into equilibrium, they teach nothing about it in medicine. The endocannabinoid system is vast. Discovered by the Israeli science,
nothing else exists in the universe except this trinity of forces, of fields. I heard that's something Tesla was also trying to point out. He knew this secret. See, Tesla knew about the longitudinal standing wave, the scalar wave. See, in society, we know a lot about the Hertzian wave, which was discovered by Hertz, and we call frequency Hertz. Okay, because we attribute this transverse wave, this vibration, which is a material wave of electricity, to Hertz. But Tesla's wave was like this, was a pulse, a horizontal pulse, and that's magnetism. You see, so magnetism, which is above electricity, is a spiritual force. Let me explain this. I'll get my whiteboard. You're going to love this because this is astrology is not just a branch of science all on its own and separate from all the rest. Astrology is theology. Krishna is in astrology. Astrology is the mother of all sciences, the science of light, Jyotish. And so, if we don't know astrotheology, astrology, theology, alchemy, chemistry, physics, gematria, and all of the sciences, we can never know these things. We will always be separated by degrees from the accurate knowledge of truth. So this world deals in facts. It doesn't deal in truths. And facts are not truth are not facts necessarily. And so truth is absolute and the ultimate. And that's what astrology teaches. It doesn't teach facts, it teaches truth. It teaches truth. And so what you have, we have dielectricity. That's the ether. That's what we call ether. Okay? And this is black light. And Krishna is what color? Black. Okay. In the second Trinity, Krishna is blue. I'll explain that. Yeah, because we all see skin, right? Yes, but the original Krishna, like the original Jesus or the Mary, is a black. You'll always, everywhere you go, you go to Catholic churches all over Europe, and you will see a black Jesus everywhere, harking back to the Krishna color of black, because black is the ether. It is the original light. Nothing else exists in the universe.
That's right.
I can't even believe how much I got 3 million.
So let me explain why the telepathic question that you're asking is being asked in the first place. This planet has been run as literally a prison for thousands of years. And how is a prison run? It's a prison by it puts people in the prison. Everybody is an Isbi. You're an Isbi. I'm an Isbi. Everybody's an Isbi. And Isbi is someone who is simply for the purpose of being. Now, you cannot kill an Isbi. You cannot kill a person. You can kill the body, but you can't kill the person. The person's Isbi is the real person. You can not kill an Isbi, but you can deceive an Isbi. You can lie to an Isbi. You can trap an Isbi. You can enslave an Isbi, but you can't kill the Isbi. So it used to be in the galaxy that death was a means of transportation. Someone dies and then they say, okay, I'm getting out of there. It wasn't a nice place to be, and they go someplace else. However, how do you stop that in places? Now, if you remember the former Soviet Union, people used to try to get out of the former Soviet Union. Valley dancers like Rudolf Nureyev and Mikhail Baryshnikov, they had to escape during times when they were walking between aircraft, like on a Paris airport. They had to run for help and ask for permission to be able to stay. So, totalitarian, authoritarian societies try to keep people in and not let people out. So, with regard to authoritarian, totalitarian groups within the galaxy, it would turn out to be the same way. They would lose their entire population. Every time a person died, they would just go someplace else. So they had to stop that from happening, and that involved technology. So what happens is, when somebody dies, the normal process, in fact, the normal process elsewhere in the galaxy, is when you die, it's not a surprise. The body simply stops functioning. You pop out of it. Everyone can still see you. You can see them. You don't lose your bank account. You don't lose your car. You don't lose your wife, your husband, your spouse, your friends, or anything. Everybody knows you're still there. And you can get another body, or if you feel like it, you can go from the beginning and be a baby again, but you don't lose that stuff because everyone knows the body is not you. So why does that not work here on Earth? Because this prison system has been set up with extremely advanced technology. You have to understand, we're talking about civilization.
Do it right here. Right. All right, hold on 1 second. You good.
Have a good one.
You as well, man. Stay safe, stay healthy, brother.
That have been around for like 1 million years, and everything that can be invented has been invented. Technology is not the cutting edge of science out there on the galaxy. The cutting edge of science is social science, trying to figure out how societies can operate in new ways of societies developing in the galaxy. But what we have now is a situation where you die, physically the body dies, and information has been kept from you while you're alive as a physical being. So you die sort of ignorant, and then as soon as you die, you see the light. You've heard that story? Well, that's true. You see the light, and you get drawn to the light. It's like a magnetic pull, very warm, embracing light. It pulls you in. And then if you start to resist it and fight it, it's like being stuck in a fly trap. The more you resist, the more you get stuck. And it draws you in. And then once you're in, you get zapped with a lightning, essentially a high voltage bolt that's way higher voltage than, say, a lightning bolt. You get zapped with a high voltage shock, like shock treatment. And you can't be killed, but you can be rattled. And what happens is you lose your memory, you lose your telepathic capabilities, you lose your remote viewing perceptual capabilities, you're just stunned. And then an AI comes out, you've heard this story before, an AI comes out and says, you're a very important person, and we've been talking about your case with the Council of Elders. You see the Council of Elders over there? Yeah. But we have been thinking, the arguments you used to have with your mother, and your daughter has been sort of, she's got some troubles going on, and then the communication you had with your husband was not the best. And your wife was thinking that, remember what happened with your father at this job? We think that you could work on a few of the personality issues just a little bit more, and we think if you went back and just sort of struggled and worked on these personality issues, you could really become sort of perfect. But it's up to you. It's free will. You can decide for yourself. Well, without memory, without telepathic capabilities, without perceptual capabilities, you inevitably say, sure, it sounds good to me. I'll go back and work on a few of the fine points of my personality, and then you go back in. So when you see the light, that's tech you're looking at. You're looking at tech. You're not looking at God. It's technology. And so let me explain why the
All right, that was a lot. I don't know exactly, what to think about it. But that was a lot. So I'm just gonna move on.
Did you hide this? Because when you look at your dollar and it says, "In God we trust," who do you think that's talking about? Is that the God of the Bible? Well, if you read, by the way, what caused the great push in America to get placed on our currency, the phrase "In God we trust," that's not really what they started out wanting. It was Christians. And they had actually said to Congress that in a hypothetical annihilation, this is their language, a hypothetical annihilation of the United States in the future, antiquaries of the future would have determined that America had been a pagan nation based on the symbols of the Great Seal and the way Washington, D.C. was laid out. Even the old-timers knew this. And they wanted something in our government that would reflect that widespread Christian view that was held among the mostly agrarian communities at that time. And it was opposed by the Freemasons. It was opposed by the President of the United States. They did not want something saying we are a Christian nation. And they finally compromised and put "In God we trust" because of the ambiguity related to that phrase, and that in some hypothetical annihilation of our country and somebody wanted to determine who is the God that's being talked about on the Bible, every symbol on our dollar would tell them it is Osiris. It is the ancient God, dying and resurrecting God. It is Apollo. It's he whose eye is hovering above the uncapped pyramid. That's exactly who you would determine this God was talking about. Well, here's the Novus Ordo Seclorum. That is a prophecy. It's taken from a prophetic line in Virtual Secologue 4, line 5, Magnus ad integro seclorum nascitur ordo. The interpretation of the original Latin being in the majestic roll of circling centuries begins anew. If I have time, I'll explain that. That is a prophecy of the Cumae Sibyl, who predicts the arrival of, in the end times, of a divine son. But who was the Cumaean Sibyl? Well, she was the most important prophetess of Apollo. She is the most famous of the Pythians. A prophetess, by the way, is what the Apostle Paul cast a demon out of in the New Testament when in Greece and Macedonia, and it says that the custom
out in the morning and make prayers. You remember this story? And Paul and his entourage went out to make prayers, and every day the Bible says that a damsel, that is a young woman, possessed with a spirit of divination, would follow them around and say, these men are from God, they've come to show us the way of salvation. Now, interesting question. Why would a demon-possessed prophetess of Apollo do that? For the same reason the New Age movement quotes from the Bible. By the way, whenever, I can tell you this, I know this from experience, whenever these spiritual forces know that they have come up against a power greater than they are, that's you, in Christ, and you're in their community, they won't try to defeat you. They'll try to make the community somehow think they're somehow joined to you. So, you know why? You're a fisher of men. Well, believe me, they are too. They are fishers of men. These spirits are fishers of men. And so they will join or try to make the appearance of having joined in order to draw people away in the mysticism. And it's happening right now. I've never seen a day in my life. Why do I talk about this kind of stuff? Why do I talk about UFOs? Why do I talk about what is the occultism operating behind the year 2012? Because I pastored for 25 years. I was an executive in one of the largest evangelical organizations in the world for a decade. And I have never seen a time where the world is asking more questions that the church is afraid to talk about. And the young people in their churches that are asking those questions are then going out and they're asking people that are part of the New Age movement. They want answers. And if you won't answer their questions, they're going to find an answer to their question. That's why this woman was following the Apostle Paul around in the hope that after they leave the community, they could pretend they too were some part of this great power and they could somehow build up and reinforce their position. And the Apostle Paul got sick of it and done what any good Baptist preacher would do. He cast the demon out of her in the name of Jesus Christ. Guess what? Came out the same hour. And yet, for some mysterious reason, the Kume Sybil is in the Sistine Chapel at the Roman city, the Vatican City, and she is holding a position here of honor among the Old Testament prophets. Michelangelo, who made the famous paintings there in the Sistine Chapel, he left a secret behind that I've never heard anybody ever talk about. I'm going to show it to you right now so you can follow up on it on your own. But Haggerty left us something here very important. Count the digits on the left hand of the Kume Sybil. Now her thumb is inside the book just like it is on this finger, and then you count her digits, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the fifth one is bent under or cut off, which could have even more significant occultic meaning. She's a 6-digited prophetess. Wonder why Michelangelo did that, because that dates back to the Watchers. That dates back to the offspring of those rebel angels that rebelled against God. But it also directly connects to Apollo, who is known as Nimrod, and the fact that he probably was an offspring of the Watchers. If we get time, we won't have time probably, but if we get time, I'll show you in the Old Testament book of Genesis where it says, and Nimrod began to be. And the Hebrew word there is Gibborim. Nimrod began to become a Gibborim, an offspring of the Watchers. Well, anyway, there she is. And yet, this woman who is held in the sacred place of honor there at the Vatican City, what is it that her prophecy that's contained on the Great Seal of the United States of America, what does it say? Well, the divine son who comes of the Sybil's prophecy is to be spawned of a new breed of men sent down from heaven, what we talked about last night, as he receives the life of God, since he's heroes with God's commingling. This is taken directly from Greek mythology, where there was a marriage of the gods and mankind giving birth to the demigods. This is Watcher technology. This is what we're going to do in our technology. Now, let me give it to you quickly. Here's the prophecy that's encoded on the Great Seal. Am I talking too fast? The Great Seal. Now, this is the prophecy that's on the Great Seal. Now, the last stage by Kume Sybil's son has come and gone, and the majestic roll of circling centuries begins anew. That's where we take the phrase, a new order of the ages, the Novus Ordo Seclorum. Okay, what's going to happen when this new world order is born? Justice is going to return old Saturn's reign. Bible scholars will tell you this is talking about Satan. Saturn is the equivalent of Satan in biblical theology, is going to return old Satan's reign with a new breed of men sent down from heaven. Only do thou at the boy's birth, in whom the iron shall cease, the golden race will arise. Befriend him, chaste Lucina, 'tis thine own Apollo reigns. So now we know.
This is crazy. Check it out, though. This is the type of shit that come through on my TikTok. I mean, a lot of shit, as you can see, that I got to skip past. But this is where it's at. Let me do that so I could, fix the algorithm. But let's get back to it.
Who is prophesied on the great seal of the United States to return. This is from which the prophecy is taken. He shall receive the life of gods, and see heroes with gods commingling, and himself be seen of them. And with his father's worth, that is Saturn's worth, he will reign over the world. Assume thy greatness, for the time draws nigh, dear child of God, great progeny of Job, that is Jupiter or Zeus. See how it totters, the world's orbed might, earth and wide ocean, and the vault profound, all see enraptured of the coming time. All right, very quickly, there are a few elements here you need to understand. The Greeks believed in 4 ages, right? You remember this from school? There was the golden age. This was the age when the gods reigned upon the earth. After the gods departed, we entered into the silver age. This was the age of the demigods. This was when only those who had been born of the gods.
Don't know where we're going till after I start the ride. I need the name.
The offspring of the watchers. This is when they were upon the earth, the silver age.
Yeah.
Then the flood came, wiped out most of those bloodlines of the gods, the Greeks believed. And then we entered into the bronze age. This is the age where there are still some elements of the bloodline of the gods on the earth, but not very much. And in Christian theology, we look at this and we say, well, the flood wiped
Union
out
Avenue?
the giants, and yet, lo and behold, how did this happen? After the flood, somehow, they're back. How did they come back? I believe there was a high level of technology that was used that's also going to be used in our age, but that's my theory. There's other kind of theories around this. J.R. Church talked about the bloodline of the Antichrist, the tribe of Dan. Other people try to figure out, but bottom line is they came back. Somehow the giants were on the earth again, but not in the great numbers that they had been before. This is the Bronze Age, when there's very little of the divinity of the gods from the Greeks' point of view left in humanity. And then finally, we enter into the Iron Age. That's the age that we are in now, where there is so little divinity left inside humanity. What do we got to do? We got to create a new breed of humanity. Exactly what the transhumanists are saying now, the mystics of old were saying the same thing. The day will come when we will need to rejuvenate, recalibrate, alter, re-engineer humanity so that once again we can be an offspring of the immortals. But why should Christians care about a Sibyl's prophecy on the Great Seal heralding the return of Apollo? Because the Bible identifies the god Apollo as the same spirit, verified by the same name, that will inhabit the political leader of the end times new world order. 2 Thessalonians, let no man deceive you by any means, but that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. This is the Greek word Apollyon, which is the Greek's way of saying what we call Apollo. Apollyon, Apollyon, Apollo. Revelation 17:8 ties the coming of the Antichrist with the return of Apollo. The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. Apollyon, Apollo. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. This phrase is held by many theologians who believe that it pointed to either a spirit or a personality that existed on the earth, was dead at the time or gone at the time of the writing of Revelation 17:8, but who will return in the latter days to either be or to possess the Antichrist. Both the Bible and ancient records and the prophecy on the Great Seal tell us it is Apollo. He is equivalent to the Egyptians as Osiris. In the Old Testament, he is called Nimrod. If we had had time, we would have talked about this question, but how could Apollo, Osiris, Nimrod possibly return in flesh or spirit as Antichrist? But it has to do with the Cumae Sibyl's prophecy of a new breed of men, and the same thing that I was talking about. Well, there it is, Genesis 10:8, and Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be, this is the Hebrew halal, which means either ritualistically, he began to change sexually or to change genetically, or it can flatly just refer
refer to the same thing when the Bible refers to all flesh having become corrupted upon the earth. He began to change genetically, and as he did, what did he become? A mighty, a Gibborim in the earth. He immediately sets out to build a tower. His eyes were opened, like we talked about last night, to new modes of perception, what the transhumanists want. Suddenly he saw something. He wanted to build a tower whose top would reach into the heavens. Roosevelt and Wallace believed it. Here's Nicholas Roerich holding the sacred casket. Wallace was a devotee of Nicholas Roerich. I went to the house of the temple. I want to know if there was anything to this, so I went to the lion's den. I had people praying and fasting for me. I took my wife. We went to the house of the temple. We went to the headquarters of the Scottish Rite Freemasonry in Washington, D.C. on 16th Street, and not on a public tour. We went and met privately with 2 Freemasons of the 33rd degree order. They took us inside. They answered every question except one. I'm going to tell you what that question was. When we went into the sacred room there, the chapel, with its giant altar, and I looked up at the 36-paneled magic 666 square that is used during the raising ceremony to bring forth the spirit of Osiris from the underworld to incarnate him in every U.S. president. When I was standing there, I'm familiar with the raising ceremony. The 32nd degree Freemason becomes a 33rd degree. They go through this process of raising Osiris from the dead to be incarnated within that individual. But what I had been told was that ceremony was secretly conducted at the inauguration of every United States president, beginning posthumously with George Washington and extending through every U.S. president. And when I asked them if that was true, they would not answer that question. One guy got nervous and walked out of the room. The other one just stayed nervous and stood looking at me. And my wife gave me a look like, "Don't press it, buddy." I believe the greatest conspiracy of all time is sitting out in Washington, D.C. It's also here at the Vatican. This is the ancient structural representation of the womb of Isis. This is the ancient structural representation of the erectile phallus of Osiris. Your capital city is laid out as a magical construct based on ancient Egyptian beliefs for the exact purpose of raising Osiris from the dead so that he could be incarnated within every U.S. president. That's the way the city's laid out. It's also laid out that way at the Vatican. Did you know, Noah, that when Pope Sixtus went and they got this obelisk, they took it from the ancient city of Heliopolis, what is called in the Bible the city of On. It was dedicated to Osiris, Isis, and the sun god Ra. And when Sixtus the Pope brought it there, he tried to conduct an exorcism on it to cast the spirit of Osiris out of it before planting it in the center of the Vatican City. All right, there's a reason why the Washington Monument has a magic square in its base where a Bible is bound. There's a reason there's a magic 666 square above that altar in the house of the temple where I was at. There's a reason there are 72 pentagrams in their Gnosticism. They believe 72 demons control the nations of the earth, and they have bound them at the base of the apotheosis of Washington. This is the underbelly of the U.S. Capitol Dome. It's called the apotheosis of George Washington, which means to become a god. What god did he become? Well, look at the heaven that he's rising into. There's not one Christian symbol. There's no Jesus. There's no cross. There is no Michael the Archangel. Every part of the underbelly of the U.S. Capitol Dome is filled with pagan gods. Here's the god Vulcan, who Manly P. Hall tells us fills the Freemasons' hands with the seething energies of Lucifer. That's the heaven he went into. At his funeral, Freemasons cast pigs of acacia upon his body to represent that he had gone into the underworld to take his role as Osiris so that the next president could become the resurrected Osiris. Well, the occult have a plan. God has a better one.
So what do you think about that presentation I just showed you? Because in my opinion, it's one of the most important presentations I've ever seen. So make sure you share this far and wide. Leave a comment and let us know what you think. Also, don't forget to hit that like button. And until next time, thank you all for watching. God bless you all.
There was this man named Jim. Now, Jim grew up in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina. And he said he was the oldest of 5 brothers and sisters. And they lived in this older home situated in the middle of the woods, surrounded by the mountains. Now, he said this one particular night, the door, and he opens it, and he goes, "Quit playing around." He looks out there, and there is like absolutely no one. And he said he just remembered, like, all of a sudden, this very bad stench just poured into the house, and he said it almost made him gag. And he thought, you know, that's really weird, like there's no one there.
You're welcome. You guys have a good night. Thank you. Careful, careful.
Well, his brother goes into
All
the
right, you're good.
kitchen and is in there for about 5 minutes when all of a sudden he comes running out, screaming, crying.
Got everything?
And he runs right into his bedroom and jumps on the bed. So Jim goes to check on him and see what's wrong. And when he gets in his
You left something in the car.
you can see that, like, he's
Yeah.
very frantic and just, you know, upset by something. So Jim
Gloves?
sits down on his
Oh,
bed.
that's what that is.
and
Cool.
is like,
Anything else? You good?
"Hey, what's going on?
All right.
Like, why were you crying?" And he couldn't get his little brother to talk about, like, what's going on. He said finally his brother, after about 5-10 minutes, says, "I was in the kitchen and I looked out the window. There was this big, tall, hairy monster, and it was waving at me to come outside." And right as he's telling him that story, Jim said he looked out his brother's window and he sees the shadow of something very large just move. And so he tells his brother, like, get out of the room. And he gets his brothers and sisters and he puts them all into the parents' room. But he said right at that moment they could hear stuff like running around the house, and they could hear all this noise outside, banging on the windows and the doors. And he said then it stopped. And after about 5 or 10 minutes, he said he hears this frantic banging on the front door. So Jim gets up the courage. He goes to his father's office and he grabs his rifle. He goes to the door, and when he looks out the window, he sees that it's his neighbor. So he opens the door, and the neighbor comes running in and is all frantic. And it's like, "Where are the kids? Where's everybody? Like, are you guys all right? I'm staying with you till your dad gets back." And Jim was kind of confused, like, why is the neighbor here? Why is he panicking? Well, shortly after this, his father comes home, and his father and the neighbor go into the other room. Jim overhears them talking, and the neighbor is basically saying to the father, like, "I was looking out my window when I seen like several large looking men that weren't human running around your house, and I knew the kids were alone. So I ran over there immediately, and one of these things, whatever it was, it chased me." So Jim's father and the neighbor, they get some rifles and they go outside. They tell the kids to lock themselves in the bedroom. And he said all night long they could hear just, you know, loud bangs and booms, you know, and shots being fired. And he said the next morning his father came in, had this blank stare on his face, and just slowly shuffled onto the couch. And he asked his father, you know, like, what happened? And his dad looked at him and said, "I never want to speak about what I seen out there." And he said still to this day, he has no clue what it is that his father seen or what they experienced that night. There was this man named Jim. Now,
Wow, something good.
Twice.
calls out to the man on the street. He can see she's been crying. She's got blisters on her soles. She can't walk, but she's trying.
Do you guys see the little dot above the moon tonight? That's Venus. It's February 1st, and the
Now this is how you get some of the best land deals in America.
Going live at 6 p.m. Central tonight.
Hello, how are you?
PM Central
I'm well, thank you.
Family. I'm talking about how civilization created PDF files. You don't want to miss this. I want to expose so much. Going live at 6 p.m. Central tonight. Family. I'm talking about how civilization created PDF files. You don't want to miss this. I want to expose so much.
So we're all on board and watching these 4 kids build a fort, right? Have y'all seen them? They're on TikTok. 4 kids. They sound like they're in, young teenage years. They're building a fort in the woods. Check it out.
Hey guys, it's Rory, and I just wanted to tell you guys that we're going to be posting on. We are making a fort over here in my woods. We've got a fire pit and.
So, everybody's watching these guys. Obviously it's just a kid page, hopefully being monitored by the parents, of course, because of all the spam accounts, whatever. But they're making this fort in the woods, and they started a GoFundMe to do this because literally it's kids being kids, and I love this. I absolutely love this. I'm not pushing this, but you got to check it out. Go down this wormhole. They started a GoFundMe, okay? They've raised over $8,000, had 500,000 views on the original video, 700-something thousand on part 2. It's absolutely crazy. I'll try to see if I can tag them down below. But this is just absolutely adorable. Kids being kids in this day and time with so much technology, and these kids to do this. Y'all, check them out. Check out their content. I'm begging you, this is going to be one hell of a ride. I can't wait to see this finished fort. And I think if you donate, etch your name into the wood that they built the fort with. So that's a pretty cool idea.
Hey, I'm Jason Schapper here with Mulan, and this video I'm going to share with you. Bro, can someone please tell me why this whole entire time I thought all of Ethiopia looked like this? But bro, I just literally saw a video of what Ethiopia actually looks like. There is no way, bro. Somebody tell me this is fake. Someone tell me this is not real. I'm starting to think we're the third world country, bro. Let me show you.
New York, jackass.
What the? Someone tell me that was not real, bro. Tell me that was fake. Bro, can someone please?
Nobody wants to speak up, so I will. So allegedly, in Antarctica, NASA just discovered what they're calling a parallel universe. Let me say that again. A parallel universe. But in this parallel universe, time flows backwards. So you're telling me y'all just out there searching for cosmic particles, searching for whatever those are, and boom, you just bump into a parallel universe. So basically, in that universe that they found, that has to do with time is in reverse. Sort of like if you throw the ball forward, instead of the ball going forward, it'll go backward. Sort of like if you spill a can of soda, instead of the soda going down, it'll go up. So that makes sense to y'all? Yes. What's going on, man? You know what's crazy? Anytime that I'm talking about stuff like this, I always revert back to going to sleep. Because sleeping is the weirdest thing to me that is here with us on this planet. Like when we go to sleep, you don't know where the hell you be. And you be places. You be places everywhere. And then you wake up and you're like, where was I? I was there. And it felt like you was there. So
Right here.
This one?
Yeah.
We all know about Antarctica. And when we talk about Antarctica,
Okay, ma'am.
we can't talk
Have a
about
good night.
Antarctica.
Stay safe and stay healthy, dear.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you, ma'am.
I believe it, one. And two, it's too much shit going on that we are seeing right now. Like 2024. 2024. Made another video last night that I ain't even drop. I'm about to drop it in a few. But let me tell you something. 2024 is opening up the door for 2025 to be the craziest year that we might ever see. This shit's crazy. Nobody wants to speak up, so I will.
Looks like TikTok has officially been saved, and now there's a huge price.
You got intercepted by intelligence agents for not only flying over the ice wall, but bringing this derivative species of predatory humans back with you.
Like I said, I thought I had shook them in Antarctica, but they followed me back north. There's no easy way to say this, but the weeks that followed after I returned to the States, the things that had began happening made it clear to me. The Pantheons were in fact among us.
What kind of things?
Countrywide blackouts. Okay, you might remember this from back in '98 when the Midwest was separated from the Eastern grid. Okay.
Of course, the North American ice storm.
Exactly, except it wasn't. It was all the efforts of the Pantheons.
That's not possible.
Listen to me. They were trying to recreate their world, the Dark Continent, here inside of ours. Fast forward, I'm taken into custody by intelligence, and I'm pretty much convinced my run is over, right? This agent comes in to talk to me, and he says to me, he goes, "You are one dumb son of a bitch." And, the look on his face got me thinking, this is probably a lot worse than power outages. He goes on to explain to me that these people from this dark continent over the past 2 weeks had infiltrated and silently taken over 7 of the most authoritatively crucial departments in the country. By the time he'd even gotten intelligence on it, it was too late. He says to me that the majority of his department is compromised as well, and that he can't even trust if he's talking to the real me. And so, look, he hands me this strange-looking headset device and tells me to put it on for a moment. When I asked him why, he told me that the Pantheon's neural manipulation abilities work through high-frequency manipulation, and that he can't
I'm only going where it puts me, ma'am.
real me until I do.
So what the hell happened after that?
Problem with the thing is that it just pings off whatever the last location was, and then it sits me wherever that is. So which was right here.
And basically seduce the entire world unknowingly.
Yeah, you're not closing right now, are you?
Is that what happened? Is that our reality?
All right.
Well, not ours particularly, but someone's, yes.
A whole lot going on.
Look, I told him, what can we do? Like, how the hell do we fix this? But he just emphasized that it was too late.
First stop is 734.
Knowing about the ice wall because of dangers like this. He said to me, unfortunately, at this point, all we can do is save ourselves. He told me that the CIA has had a century-long running project on matter displacement technology. That he's the only one with clearance to the facility. Look, he brings me into a private room and unveils a massive device. It was just round, liquid-like matter. Tells me that it was connected to an ethereal hive mind of cosmic networks. And out of all the other cosmic realities, there are thousands that also have one of these matter displacement devices actively running, one of which will be the new reality we walk into.
From a different reality.
Look, we take a good look at each other before we walk through, and I say to him, when we get to the other side, what are you going to do with me? And he's just initiating a self-destruct protocol on the machine before we go through. As he says to me, buddy, you compromised an entire timeline. You arrive to the facility on the other side. I'm going to get a cup of coffee. You're going to go straight to maximum security containment. And so he says to me, now let's get the hell out of here, right? The system's self-destruct timer is ticking. And before we walk through, I just lunge at him like my life depends on it, tackling him to the ground as I say to him, like you said, millions of people are screwed because of me. Hell, what's one more? And with about 2 seconds, jump through it as the sole survivor of the entire timeline.
So this is how you got here.
Of course, but look, it gets worse. When I'd arrived on the other side, the facility was riddled with Pantheons. They'd already found the matter displacement device. They'd already infiltrated this world as well.
You got intercepted by intelligence agents.
This is how you can forever boycott Target. For all you beautiful black people joining the national boycott for Target, let me tell you how you can still support all the black-owned businesses that we used to support by shopping at Target. So make sure you save and share this video. Let's start with Gastro, a Bronx-born culinary collector. They are a flavor company that also sells kitchen appliances, and you can get their products at GhettoGastro.com. Next up, we have Bevel or Bevel. It's a beard company for hair care products for men.
That's right.
Bevel.com is where you can get their products. The Lip Bar, their makeup brand. You can get their stuff at thelipbar.com. Ben's Boys, they provide premium comfort food at bensboysfood.com. And boys is spelled with a Z. Honey Pot, they offer plant-based female hygiene products. You can get their products at thehoneypot.co. Pair of Thieves is a men's line that sells underwear, socks, shirts, and loungewear. You can get their products at pairofthieves.com. Evolve, they sell silky hair scarves and headbands, satin pillowcases, bonnets, and more. You can get their products at firstlinebrands.com. Scotch Boys, 100% Jamaican-owned hot sauce brand. Scotchboys.com is where you can get it, and boys is spelled with a Z. Good Foods, a family-owned company that sells canned beans and vegetables. They're gluten-free, non-GMO products. You can get their products at goodfoodsfamily.com, and good is spelled with an E. Supergut for gut health. Supergut.com is where you can get their products. Pipcorn, a healthy snack company. You can get their products at pipsnacks.com. Afro Unicorn is for kids. They sell unicorn t-shirts, bags, mugs, and more. It's afrounicorn.com. Housewife is an apparel collection. Housewife.com is where you can get their items. Thread Beauty is a makeup line. You can get their products at threadbeauty.com. Be Rooted, they sell stationery and gifts at berootedco.com. Little Muffin Cakes for babies and kids. They sell apparel and accessories. You can get their products at littlemuffincakes.com. Proudly Company, they sell baby care products, and it's co-founded by Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade. You can get their products at proudly.com. Mocktail Club, they provide non-alcoholic cocktails with quality organic and natural ingredients at mocktailclub.com. Black and Bold Coffee, they offer freshly roasted specialty coffees and loose leaf teas that can be delivered right to your door. Just visit blackandbold.com, and black is spelled BLK. A Dozen Cousins, they offer authentic meals and sides at adozencousins.com. I love that name. McBride Sister Wine is a wine company. Check them out at McBrideSisters.com. Capital City, they sell Mambo sauce, which is a weed sauce out of BC. ShopCapitalCity.com is where you can get their products. Everything Legendary is a plant-based burger company. GoLegendary.com is where you can get their products. Miss Richardson's,
Right or left side, dear.
dessert sauce company. And you can get these products at MissRichardsons.com. Now, if there's a black-owned company that I did not mention, please add them in the comment section below. And also just know that anything that you used to get from Target, you can now get direct from the company via their website. So just look them up. Do what you can to stop supporting corporations that don't support you. I love you, black man. I love you, black woman. Knowledge is power. Power to the people. This
Okay,
is
man.
how
I'll be
you
right here.
forever boycott Target. For all you beautiful black people joining the national boycott for Target, let me tell you how you can still support all the black-owned businesses that we used to support by shopping at Target. So make sure you save and share this video. Let's start with Gastro, a Bronx-born culinary collector. They are a flavor company that also sells kitchen appliances, and you can get their products at GhettoGastro.com. Next up, we have Bevel or Bevel. It's a beard company for hair care products for men. GetBevel.com is where you can get their products. The Lip Bar, a makeup brand. You can get their stuff at The Lip Bar. The Miracle Tree, also known as Nebede, in several African languages, this means the one that never dies.
Soldier, keep on marching on. Head down till the work is done. Waiting on that morning sun. Soldier, keep
Milkshake, Melania Trump's new White House portrait for looking more like a guest in The Apprentice, they wrote, or a freelance magician that at first.
A magician, you don't say. I guess it's just a coincidence that her portrait over here looks exactly like the Seal of Solomon. For those who do not know, this is the Great Seal of Solomon, which of course goes back to esoteric occult knowledge. But now, as you saw with that photo, the double triangle of Solomon is represented by the ancients of the Kabbalah. I'm sure this right here is just a coincidence. How Ivanka Trump was caught wearing the red string of Kabbalah. And for those who do not know the red string of Kabbalah, you can see this right here, how wearing a thin scarlet or crimson string is a type of talisman. And this is a Jewish folk custom which is practiced as a way to ward off misfortune, which is brought about by the evil eye. And as we can see right here, this tradition is associated with the Kabbalah. And for those who do not know what the Kabbalah is, it is a form of Jewish mysticism that adds spiritual depth to Jewish practice, knowledge, and text. And as we can see down here, it is all about esoteric knowledge. And that's what you are seeing right here, esoteric symbolism, where we can see the Seal of Solomon is all about the duality, the God of light and the God of reflections, mercy and vengeance, the white Jehovah and the black Jehovah, the as above, so below. And of course, this esoteric symbolism would not be complete without the obelisk behind her. You know, the same obelisk that likes to reflect off the water in Washington, D.C. that gives the as above, so below symbolism. That is exactly 555 feet tall, which happens to be 6,660 inches tall. And how we also know that the obelisk has been associated with the occult. And as we can see in ancient Egypt, the obelisk was a symbol of the phallus, or more specifically, the phallus of Osiris. And of course, her photo is done in black and white, once again symbolizing the duality. And it's also seen in Freemasonry with their checkerboard floors. And of course, she had to wear her black and white Saturn hat at the inauguration, which was performed right here underneath the apotheosis of Washington, which is all about ascending and becoming a god. And of course, George Washington here is giving the as above, so below symbolism, which they are very blatant with showing off. But this should not be a surprise to anybody because he was a Freemason first, and then the first president of the United States. Now, I could keep going, but I wanted to make a shorter video here for you guys to understand the symbolism is everywhere. And they don't try to hide it. They put it right in your face because they are mocking us. But through it all, it's going to be critical that we keep our eyes focused upon the Lord, realizing that we are in hostile territory, that the enemy is everywhere, and they operate through deception and manipulation. So with that being said, take the commandment that Jesus left us with to be as wise as a serpent and innocent and gentle as a dove, taking heed that nobody deceives you and that you rest in the Lord and you lean upon him for all understanding and wisdom. And I really cannot stress to you guys enough right now how hostile this world is, how the enemy is literally everywhere, and we need to be on guard. We need to be wise as a serpent, but gentle and innocent as a dove. And the only way we can do this is by resting in the Lord, leaning upon him, and seeking him with a sincere heart, postured towards him, guys. Really abide in him, in his love, his grace and mercy, and really walk by faith, not by sight. So with that, guys, I love y'all so much. God bless. Remember, the just shall live by faith.
When you go and use, why the fuck ain't nobody talking about this? They're talking about EMPs being a weapon of choice, and a third of the population could be wiped out quickly. Let's check this out.
And I should say that the EMP committee, their estimate was 8 to 9 out of every 10 Americans could lose their life by the end of the first year. 500,000 people in the air at any given time on 1,000 flights. So that's 500,000 people at any moment. Very quickly after that, the SCADA systems begin to fail, and you have fire, you have flood. Within 72 hours, you have meltdown at all nuclear facilities. Refrigeration has gone out at supermarkets and at the regional food warehouses. So the food supply ends. There's no access to ATMs or money or financial structure of any type. No access to your prescription medications. No access to law enforcement, and no clean water, and no food.
We are terrible at listening to warnings about disaster.
That's why everyone in my family has a copy of this book. You'll learn how to protect your home with an EMP shield, build your own hydro generator, learn how to make black powder, the dry and wet method, make you a soda oven, to even your own fucking water heater. There's over 70 different DIY projects in here to produce everything that you need on your property. If you see an orange shopping cart somewhere down here, that means it's back in stock. So make sure to grab yours today. Why the fuck ain't nobody talking about this? They're talking about.
So what do you call it, the most powerful church in America?
I will give you exactly what it showed you.
how powerful the movie theater is in this country.
Oh,
Now, what time does your church meet on the weekend?
it was only my half a
Sunday morning. Let's say I go to your church and preach the morning sermon.
Do you still want the white casting? I'm sorry, I don't want to hold you up. I'm coming now.
I curse the name of Jesus. Or as some would say,
I'm going to have to now because you seen that I was upset, so I left. So,
will they not wake up your congregation? So then I preach a little more and I curse his name again. How would they react to that?
Oh, so you know she looked out the window. All right. All right, Daddy. No, love you. All right, love you. Call me. I'll call you when I get to the house. Okay. Thank you for being patient.
Yes, ma'am.
And I curse his name again. Would the people not be upset? Then I bring up a young couple on the platform.
Willoughby?
And they start to kiss and take their clothes off. Right there in church on a Sunday morning. How long do you think your congregation will allow this to go on? Would they not say, this is the most awful thing? To curse the name of Jesus in church? And to have them take off their clothes here in front of everyone? Would they not be appalled? Would they not yell out, stop it? You cannot do this in this place. But yet, I say 12 hours earlier on Saturday night in a movie theater, when this exact same thing occurs, it is entertainment. My friend, something is wrong. We must make up our mind. It is either entertainment Saturday night in the theater and entertainment Sunday morning in church, or it is most sinful Sunday morning in church and most sinful Saturday night in the theater. This is why I say the movie theater is the most powerful church in America. It's the only place where Christians go to hear the name of Jesus Christ used as a swear word and to watch wickedness and yet pay their money to be entertained. Never thought of it like that before. I say this trembling, David. Most people go to church in America. No, not Jesus. The Bible says, in the last days, men will become lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God. Is this not the case in America now? Ask yourself, would I go to the movie theater to hear my name cursed? Then why go to the theater to hear his name cursed? Would you go to the theater to see your daughter naked on the screen? So why go see someone else's daughter naked on the screen? This is great sinfulness in the eyes of God. I don't know what to say. What can we do? Let's try and turn this all around. Use the movie theater for Jesus. We need dramatic programming on television for the Lord. Use radio to tell others the gospel. Satan does not want any of this to happen and will work to stop anyone who tries to change it. So beware. I understand. The media has the power in this country, David. The airwaves, the movies, the music. It is power is working. Just look around you and observe what really moves the people and influences their lives. Is it not entertainment and the media? They control the people. They have the power of the air. So what do you call it?
This ain't your car. It ain't your car when I'm putting gas in it. It ain't your car when we're in the backseat making babies. But now it's your car.
What's up, Tony? Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, man. I'm gonna meet you where you going. Yeah, what? Who was that in the background? You got another man over there with my kid? I'm on your way. We pulling up. Me and my boy Tony on the way. Yeah. Things again.
He said no.
Me and Killer T on the way. Yeah, me and Killer T on the way. I hope he got his boys with him. We like a tell. Me and Killer T, whatever. I bet you better be going in 15 minutes. Put me in this shit. Tony, you strapped? Yeah, we strapped. Yeah, Tony strapped. Yeah, Tony strapped. I'm strapped. We on the way. Yeah, we on the way. 15 minutes. You better be going in 15 minutes. You gonna pray about my kid? Yo, where you going? Yo, stop being scared. You better get it 5-star. Yo, where you going? Yo, stop being scared. This ain't your car. It ain't your car when I play.
There is a massive scandal breaking right now in the local church in Central Ohio. And what is the point of having a platform unless you're willing to take on corruption in your own backyard? But I need your help. Every single person within the sound of my voice needs to get involved. I don't care if you live in Ohio. I don't care if you live on the other side of the planet. This is a big deal, and it needs to be exposed. For those of you that have been around the charismatic church, the Pentecostal church, particularly in the Central Ohio or surrounding area, you've heard of Faith Life Church. For weeks now, there's been a very small but very loud and very powerful group of former members of Faith Life Church who've been sounding the alarm bells of corruption at the leadership level and at the political level. Faith Life Church is a very well-connected church, not only in Ohio, but nationwide, with political connections all the way up to the Attorney General's office. And the allegations are that those political connections have allowed the church to bury severe allegations of sexual misconduct with children in the youth program. And until today, they were nothing more than rumors and allegations, people trying to sound the alarm bells. But then this happened. Somebody came forward, and you won't believe who it is. The daughter of the pastors. Can you imagine the bravery and the courage it takes for the daughter of the pastors to be the one to step forward first? So what do I need your help with?
You're welcome, man. You have a good night. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Of being involved in a cover-up.
Watch yourself on that side, all right?
Investigations that people have been trying to start for a long time, and we need to put pressure on him. Under no circumstances should political or personal connections ever be allowed to be used to manipulate victims, to silence victims of such heinous crimes. And it sounds like that's exactly what's happening here. So what do I need you to do? Get involved. Some of the absolute warriors who've been driving this from the beginning started a change.org petition to get the Attorney General to get off his ass. And I'll remind you, this is an Attorney General who just announced his run for governor of the state of Ohio. Beyond that, you can do more. You see, the investigations that were originally opened were basically shut down at the state level and have been sent back to the county. Here's the contact information to call the Knox County Sheriff's Department and ask them, demanded them, that they open a formal investigation to drive this issue. We cannot allow corrupt churches and leaders of corrupt churches to silence victims. Folks, I don't know where all of this is going to go, but what I do know is there are credible allegations right now that are not being taken seriously at the political level and the law enforcement level because of those connections. I also know that this is not the only church in which corruption is ruining the local church in Central Ohio. I know it firsthand. In America, it's time to come to terms with the reality that we will never fix our national political system if we're not willing to fix our local systems, particularly our local churches. There is a massive scandal breaking right now.
In March of 1981, a mysterious building was found high in the Alps. A building that had...
Think this is going to be the last one? I'm going to play it, then I'm just going to shut down. Just check it out.
Fallen out of the sky. Inside, a treasure trove of Columbian artifacts, many of which may hold the key to unlocking the mysteries of Columbia, and others that raise new and troubling questions. In March of 1981, a mysterious building was found high in
Well, maybe one more.
The average World Fair had a Ferris wheel. That Ferris wheel is 50 tons. Each little box that's going around in the Ferris wheel holding people can hold anywhere from 60 to 200 people at a time. That And there's usually like 30 of them on the wheel. They said it took 10 minutes for the wheel to go around one time. Think of the energy that would be required just to do that. And all of these world fairs are all outfitted with light bulbs. Every single one. Thousands and thousands and thousands of light bulbs. And you're seeing all these things going, wait a minute, but that didn't come around till this time. This is how much energy we're producing at that time. This is whatever else. What I started to realize was all of this stuff has already been here. It was just all of these things being put on for show. And when I would notice when I go even farther back to like the 1700s and the beginning of the 1800s, they were showing people this exotic jewelry from Russia and all these different countries, which is mind-blowing, made out of pure gold and silver and malachite and stones that just, you look at it and you can't even fathom something like this. And that's where I started to realize all of these things being shown have already been here. They're just being stolen, taken away, and moved to other places, and then put on display as if like this, was the one who did it. And it's like, no, you're just the one who took it. The average World Fair had
You want the trunk up?
at Ferris wheel is 50
You good?
tons.
Yeah.
Each little box that's going around in the Ferris wheel holding people can hold anywhere from 60 to 200 people at a time. And there's usually like 30 of them on the wheel.
87 Pine Grove.
Yes.
How you tonight, big bro?
It's my second kid's mother, right? Now, I
Please use your
was
seatbelt
working at the
for your safety.
airport. I had lost my job. First off, you change your life around. You ain't about. I'm 40 years old now. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't got time to be running back and forth to fucking jail and doing that shit no more. And, you know what I mean? You got people, niggas that you used to hang with and shit like that. Now they sit up there, look at you. Oh, you changed, and you know I'm still the same person. I just got too much to fucking lose now. Then on top of that, like I said, I was working at the airport. Now, the chick name is Ayana. Now, I'm not no gay dude or none of that shit or no crazy shit or nothing like that. Now, what I was a cabin agent. We cleaned the planes. So I'm in the seat, I'm cleaning the planes, I'm looking for the test items and all that shit. So she walks up behind me, puts her chest all up on me and do all this old crazy shit. So I turn around now, I'm like, yo, Ayana, man, come on. Like, if I was to turn around and rub my dick all up on you and be grabbing at your titties and all this, I'd be going up out of here in handcuffs. Like, don't disrespect me like that. Like,
My apologies, people. I couldn't broadcast that. You know, that was personal. So on that note, I'm gonna say shalom. I'll probably log back on in a few minutes, but for now, you all have a good night and talk soon. You heard?